We probably could. Like if you went bigger, just cut out the lower half so it's just kind of like a half moon. Or you could just stick your legs through it and just steer that way.
Go Tesla style, do a little square.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we could get it once. Yeah.
This is something else. It feels like a pilot's yoke. Like it's like I should be like landing this whole car like they do. You ever seen those when they're coming in on instruments only? This dude's just like fighting for his life. And then all of a sudden it's down. Full flaps.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, it looks like somebody's grandson hit a few posts and these fenders.
Back in the 40s, man, probably.
Yeah, right. Somebody's field car.
Yeah, the field car by then. But yeah, at first we thought, man, obviously it's a lot of shaping. We don't want to necessarily have to make a buck,
Right.
I mean, you can make a wire form buck, but there's a lot of meat on here, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be cut away.
Yeah.
You know, so you're kind of making the whole front section here, which was pretty mangled.
Right.
There's a lot of, and then of course the running boards now, you have to kind of make a smooth transition into that now, and so I know you started making a piece right here, man.
Yeah.
Kind of show us a little plan you got here, man.
Yeah, this fender looks like it's definitely seen some better days.
Yeah.
Chewed up pretty good. Got some highs and lows all through here.
Yeah,
so instead of just making a small patch panel, I decided to go big.
Yeah.
Try to cover all that stuff. Working on this a little bit this morning.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Getting a good start on it.
Yeah, you damn sure are, man. So it's kind of nice having the original fender as a buck.
Right.
So you can kind of get it close, but
yeah.
That's killer. So that's a pretty big piece, man. So yeah, a lot going on, a lot of dimensions there, man. So that's pretty. I know you love the shaping thing, man. So that's kind of your thing. You know what I mean?
That's what I get into. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So basically, you think you'll run this piece all the way down here? Do you make this all one piece, or are you going to section this in, man?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna run it all one piece, and then we got to fix this lip right here, so I'll be able to put that.
So you'll just build that all in, man.
Yeah, through the full max.
That's cool. When this car came in, I don't know if you knew the history of this car, Jim. We told you a little bit. Clay brought this car to us, and he said, "Man, I got this little '34 Dodge. I've known of this car for years and years." We started finding all the, the hidden treasures underneath, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The stop signs and the floorboard and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the body was actually channeled. We had to unchannel it because it looked weird because the top wasn't chopped.
It's smushed.
You know what I mean? It was this weird look to it, man. And then we got into the door, and the door was hacked up. So Ken started making the doors, and then Matt came in. He started finishing up the fenders. Caleb did a bunch of stuff to it. So it's been kind of passed around the shop, and then we'd get put on hold. We'd focus on some of Clay's other cars, you know what I mean? But now Clay's all excited. So I said, well, man, Clay, we got Jimmy come in. He's a killer metal guy, and Clay's pretty excited about it.
These are some really convenient shaping tools that I use. They're contour gauges, which allows me to look at different shapes on the passenger side fender and transfer that over to the driver's side and lay this out on this tape pattern that I made. It's basically a roadmap for shaping this other fender, and that will allow me to know exactly which dies I need to use on the English wheel to get the shape to make sure that it's 100% symmetrical to the passenger side.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, back to the video.
So right now I'm working on, I pretty much got all my floors made. So now I'm just prepping them to be able to get welded into the car. So I have to come in, and as you can tell, I got a bunch of holes. All those will get welded. And then this copper stuff you see is a weld through primer. And we put that on. You don't just want to put bare metal on top of bare metal and weld it. It's just going to come back and be an issue later. So everywhere it's overlapping, there's going to be primer on both panels just to give it some protection. And so there's no issues later down on the road. And this copper stuff we use, I can't remember the name of it, but it works really good when you go to weld it like some of the weld through primers I use, you go to TIG weld. As soon as you hit it, it sucks it right up onto your tungsten. This stuff works really good, so that's why we're using it. Yeah, so everywhere there's copper, there's going to be the metal's going to be overlapping each other. So like you can't see under this. So like I got my little spacer welded on here to bring my floor up. Even all inside there is primed. You just can't see it now, but.
Oh, because you welded the little, basically a shelf on the.
Yeah, so you can kind of see where my weld is at.
I'll zoom in and see if we. Oh yeah, you can see it there.
So we just did that, so just to allow a little extra room for the exhaust, and then also the fuel lines can go above that cross brace back there on the shock mounts. We don't have to go under that bar and then back up. So I'll just MIG all these up. Been a little bit, you know, we got the seats test fitted in here, kind of positioned where we thought the best spot was for them. And with the Recaros, these are kind of pretty easy to make. So I don't know if there's like technically a correct way for like spacing. I always do 3 inches, you know, about 3 inches in between each of my holes. I feel like that gives it plenty of weld, but not 5 million.
They gouge it and they do.
Yeah, I was just kind of going around seeing all the blemishes on the car, making sure everything was. Cut that entire cap. We got replacement panels, so I just go in there and cut everything out and basically make it to where everything's a strip. Yeah, we use a spot weld cutter and then a spot weld. So it's basically a panel separator. Kinda, yeah. It's a
thin piece of metal that you can shove up in there.
Yeah, basically. And it's sharp enough where you can cut through the spot welds if you haven't already done that with the spot weld cutter. It's like a welder, but not really, because it just heats right there at the tips, and then that's what presses everything together, and then they go back and put seam sealer or whatever in between. Exactly. I want a clean lip on the backside, and that way I have something nice to weld to. Cleaned up all the flanges, ground down all the welds, made sure everything was flat and nice to weld to, and then now the copper actually conducts electricity, so it's easier to weld through it. I've used copper, I've used zinc. Zinc works pretty good for MIG welds, but as far as TIG welding, the copper is way better. Done so many patch panels on rust that I kind of almost know what repops are, where they fit and where they don't fit, kind of thing. Like in the cowl, like you had to, on the inner part, they never fit right where it comes down, like comes down to the 90. So I just splice that and open it up and then just fill in the weld. Yeah. That way it's solid. Just trying to get it back to zero. You know? And that way, once we get it back to zero and everything's fixed and perfect, that way, then we can start the modifications and doing everything custom. Go after the floor and then dents. The trunk looks pretty good. The rockers look pretty good. I mean, it depends on what I run into whenever I'm cutting everything out. Because there's never, just as far as rust goes, there's never just what you see.
Yeah, so we put the runner in the banner, whiskey runner in the banner, and then Desperado on the very bottom. So the runner would be look like it's flying on the banner, kind of flying, you know what I mean? And then Desperado, I'll just use some kind of old Western looking lettering. I think that'd look pretty cool. So I think
And then what colors were you thinking?
man, probably kind of like a tan and some light grays, you know? I think it'll go with the, because in the bed we're gonna have, we're doing black, or we did like a dark stain, right, on that wood?
Dark,
Kind of like a
dark stain and black to
like
kind
a
of be like
whiskey barrel color, right? Yeah, okay. So I used some tans and grays. It looked pretty sharp on here, I think. Black outline, a lot of black. I think that looked pretty sharp.
I think the black against this color, yeah.
Yep, yep. Mm-hmm.
You got the black on the wheels.
Yep.
Kind of.
You gotta look pretty sharp. Let me think here. If I start with the barrel, let's see, what do I start with? The banner, then the barrel. I'm gonna start with the banner first.
Is that kind of the trickiest part, laying out the different?
Yeah, because that's why I like using that grease pencil, because I just wipe it away. It gives me an idea on how to scale it, you know? So I can kind of eyeball. Then I take the transfer tape, and with the transfer tape I can actually see through where my, scaled out my drawing, and I can use it to trim out, So it gives me kind of a reference. Gives me kind of a reference with the grease pencil, because it'll just rub right off. It's pretty cool. Some people just go right at it. It's like, oh, if you make a mistake, you got to wipe all that paint off. It's easier to do this, scale it on the grease pencil first and then kind of figure out what's going on. So I think I'll start with the banner, airbrush that in, and then the barrel next. So now I'm going to I'll go to the other side, lay it out, lay out the two banners, spray them in, let that dry, do the barrel next. You got to look pretty sharp. What do you think of that scale on there? That's not bad, huh?
I think it's good. I think it's good scale. Not too big,
Not too big, not too small, yeah.